Hello guys and welcome back to my channel. It was my 28th birthday last week and I decided to make a little video about 28 things that I learned in 28 years. So let's go. So the first thing I learned is everything will pass. And I know that it's very hard to believe in that if you're currently struggling with something, but in the end you survived 100% of your worst days. And sometimes you're gonna look back and be like, oh, time actually helped me to heal. Which brings me to the next thing. You won't heal if you stay in victim mode. And I'm not blaming anyone because I was stayed in victim mode for so long and for whatever reason it might have served you, but if you really want to heal, you have to get out of victim mode. Number 4 is triggers say way more about your own issues than about the person who triggered you. I recently had a great conversation with a close friend of mine, and we were talking about getting triggered by family members, friends, partners, whatever. But in the end, a trigger just shows you where you have to do more healing and doesn't say too much about the person who triggered you. Number 5. Suppressing emotions will only make them come back 10 times worse. For some people, it's like 30, 40, 50 years later. For some people, it's like the next week. But suppressing emotions will always backfire at you. So make sure to take time to really feel your emotions, to give them the room and space they need. And I promise you, it will be way better than to suppress them. Number 6 is one of my most important learnings in life, and this is communication is key. And it's actually very simple to understand, right? I feel like there are so many situations that we could avoid if we would just communicate correctly, so let's all try to work on our communication. Number 7, love comes in many forms. You can have love for a family member, for a pet, for a partner, for a friend, for being on this earth, for your hobby or for your job. There are so many things you can have love for and that can love you back. But love also comes in many forms, meaning everyone shows love differently. For some people, it might be quality time, getting gifts, or you know the love languages. But I'm not just talking about the love languages. Every person shows love in a different way, so don't be too quick to assume, and don't be like, oh, a person doesn't love me correctly because they have a different way of showing love than you do. Number 8, you are allowed to be happy. And I know that might sound weird for some people, but I guess many people also can relate. We oftentimes feel like we're not allowed to be happy because we grew up in an environment where we were taught not to be happy. But you are allowed to be happy and it's all good, and you don't need the drama anymore. You don't need the drama to be stimulated. You don't need the drama to get attention. It's way more authentic to get attention because you're truly happy. I promise you that. And another thing is you're also allowed to change. We're constantly evolving, learning new things and changing. So that's completely fine. You're also allowed to change your mind. You can move to a city and then decide, oh, this is not the right place for me. You can start a new job and decide this is not what I'm gonna do. You're allowed to change your mind and there's nothing bad about it. The next thing is gonna shock all my LA friends, but not everything is a sign. And I'm kind of spiritual too, I believe in signs, but not everything is a sign. And sometimes our brain actually tricks us into believing, oh, this certain song comes up right now, that has to be a sign. I promise you, not everything is a sign. Number 11. Everyone has their very own reality. We all live in our own lives and we have a different reality, and we're also talking about a mental filter here. Maybe you know the situation. Maybe you want to buy a new car and you have your dream car in mind, and all of a sudden you see this car everywhere. This is the mental filter we're talking about. So in order to have more empathy for other people, it's very important to understand that each person has their own reality. Which brings me to the next point. We're all human beings, and I think it's time to acknowledge this again. We're all human beings, we're all this earth for the very first time, and we should just start to treat each other. Number 13 is sometimes, as said a billion times before, consistency over motivation. Motivation comes and goes, kind of like a wave. But if you really want to achieve your goals, whether it's financially, whether it's personal goals, whether it's some kind of body goal, I hope in a healthy way, you have to stay consistent. You can't rely on your motivation. And number 14, it doesn't have to be perfect. I know that there are a lot of perfectionists out there and I can totally relate with that, but sometimes we just have to do things as well as we can do them and don't have to perfectionize everything. Number 15, it is so easy to make someone stay. And we keep forgetting that for us it's just a simple interaction, maybe a few minutes of our day, but these few minutes can make someone else's day. So whether it's sparing a few dollars, whether it's letting somebody in traffic or whatever it is, be nice, see the people around you, and I promise you, you will make someone's day. The next life lesson I learned is happiness is a decision. And I know that it can feel different sometimes, but in the end, if you truly want to be happy, you have to allow yourself to be happy, which brings me back to what I said earlier. But happiness is a decision, and once you decide to be truly happy, I promise you it will get way easier to achieve your goals. Number 17, being grateful is a mind shifter. We have so many things to be grateful for. I mean, I live in LA, and now it's easy for me to say, but I bet you each person has so many things to be grateful for. And once we start to realize what we already have in our life, what kind of abundance we have, we will just raise our energies and create more abundance in our lives. Number 18, control the controllables and let go of what you can control. I think I don't have to say anything else to that. Number 19, you are 10 times harder on yourself than anyone else is. And you're also 10 times harder on yourself than you are being on other people. So once we realize that, we're like, oh, everyone else is so concentrated on themselves that people are probably not judging us the way that we think they do. Number 20 is something I actually learned when I was 20. Regretting not to do something is way worse than making mistakes, because oftentimes we're so afraid of failing that we don't even try. But looking back and realizing, damn, I wish I would have tried that, is the worst feeling in the world. So please do yourself a favor and allow yourself to fail, but just keep on trying. Number 21, time is the most valuable thing. And number 22, money isn't bad. So for a very long time, I actually thought money would make you a bad person or it makes you greedy. But in the end, having money allows you to do so many great things. So money isn't bad. Another thing I learned is health is wealth. And you guys know my story, so you know what I did to my own health. But now that I'm starting to become a very healthy person again, I'm starting to realize that your physical and mental health is one of the most important things you can have in your life. So that brings me to number 24, take responsibilities for your own actions. Whatever it is, don't blame anyone else. Take responsibility for your own actions and make sure you create the life you really want to live. Another very important life learning for me is practicing patience. I was such an impatient child. But practicing patience is so important because now I'm in so many situations where I'm okay, I guess I just have to wait and see. And it's very valuable because it saves myself a lot of stress. Another very important life lesson is you have to learn to let go. Learn to let go of habits that no longer serve you. Learn to let go of people who hurt you. Learn to let go of an old version of yourself, and also learn to let go of the past. Start to forgive and also start to forgive yourself. And the next thing that's very important is live and let live. Don't judge as much. Don't judge your neighbors. Don't judge the person next door for the way they choose to live their life. Don't judge your friends, your parents, or whoever. Create the life you want for yourself and stop judging everyone else. And the last lesson I learned is nothing is as bad as your mind makes it to be. Oftentimes we are creating such a drama in our head, but our minds are making things 10 times worse so often, and realizing that take a step out of the situation, take a look at the situation, it doesn't look so bad anymore, can be very relieving. So I hope you liked this video, guys. Let me know what life lessons you've learned, and let me know what you think about this format, and I'll see you in the next one.